bucks.
Yeah.
They're not as accurate, not something I'd recommend, but obviously, you know, if you
get
got
an
one,
idea if it's hot or not.
yeah, if you got one, you know, and it lights up all the lights, well, you're in pretty good shape. You know, you're not going to get an exact reading.
Yeah, no, we'll make sure it's on.
Yeah. The clips aren't costing you nothing, about 11 bucks for a bag of 100. Where are we at?
You're at 320.
320
ish.
320 ish.
About the cost of a hive.
Well, the average beehive loss is $400. I don't know what that's based on. If that's single hive, if that's a single hive loss. No, obviously, if they hit you at the wrong time, they can do a lot more damage than that. So yeah, you'd have about, and I'd say.
Did you add the cost of the battery in there?
Well, this one, yeah, but this one has a self-contained battery. If you wanted to go marine style battery, you're gonna have another 50 bucks into the Walmart battery. But you can get a battery charger. You could save some money on a battery charger if you don't mind maintaining your battery, coming out and charging it. You get a battery charger with sufficient power for about 100 to 120 bucks. Throw the Deep Cycle Marine battery out there, another 50. So you're gonna have another 170 bucks into it anyway. The beauty of a solar unit is she could go to Florida for the winter and leave it out here, and she should be good.
What's the life expectancy on the solar?
Oh, that charger's gonna outlive you. We got chargers out there. We maintain parts for 30 years. That's the, you know, I wasn't really coming here trying to sell you Gallagher products, but the one thing that I do have, when I tell you the pricing, the first thing you guys are going to do is you're going to get online, or you're going to go down to Tractor Supply and say, man, that guy is expensive. And the difference is, it's in the quality of the product, the low impedance technology that pushes the power. It's the warranty. It's the combination of the 9 strands of metal. When you go to the store, you hold my product up and you hold the Tractor Supply version. If you don't know what you're looking at, they look the same. Mine's twice as much. Why is that? It's because I got metals and conductivity in there. We got an S connection inside the wire that picks up the power. So if it does fray like that, see, it's working. And well, I didn't even touch it, did I? I came close. I mean, I felt it.
We'll have to go to the videotape.
Woo! Yeah. Oh, yeah, we will. We'll have to go to the videotape. Well, if you send it to my office, they'll get a laugh out of that. They love that. But that's really, to be honest with you, I don't really know what else to talk about. But I certainly would answer any questions or direct it in a different direction.
Two questions.
Great.
First one, instead of using the strands themselves, there's that fence that you unroll. It kind of looks like the stuff they'd put on the side of a road, right?
Yeah, the netting.
Can you talk about that option?
Absolutely. Good point. All right, we have netting. Netting rolls, standard row of netting is 164 feet. Costs you about $130. The netting is great. Easy to move. You can move it here today, use it here today, use it there tomorrow. Wire spacing is such that it not only does it keep, you know, well, for your instance, it'll keep the predators out. Downside of the netting is it can sort of be a pain to use, because as the grass, the bottom wire, all the wires are hot in the netting, but the ground wire in the netting is just that, a ground wire. But when the grass grows up, it starts to impede your, and if the grass is wet after a heavy dew, it starts to impede your voltage. And you can use 1 roll of netting, you can roll 2, you can put up to 4 rolls of netting together, but you need a really big charger, that B100, because when you got the netting, think about how many strands are going this way, how many strands are going this way. The wires are real thin, but it builds up a lot of resistance, ohms resistance. So you're going to need a bigger charger, and it will do an effective job. People use netting all day long. Nothing wrong with it. You said 2 questions.
How do you get in? It's on, right?
Yeah, it's on. You can just hook it back to the other post.
You would just unhook each one and walk around?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily. I would probably just take one down. Yeah, I mean, you could drop it on the ground. It's not going to hurt nothing. Turn it off, and then you could just open it up.
Okay.
The aluminum wire that I have, I take that and I run it on the strands because I don't set it on the ground, because you can hear it snap, snap, snap.
Yeah, yeah.
I just string mine onto the post. I just unhook it and string it to the...
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, like I said, the most important thing is to have an effective system. Quality charger that you got set up right with the proper ground system and the proper fencing materials hooked up right.
Is it built-in GPS?
That's the #1 battle.
Really?
Why does it? A lot of times people send their charger back saying it doesn't work. In reality, it's because they didn't do it right. Everybody does. Everybody's got a VCR. How many people read the instructions? How many people just You read the instructions?
Of course.
How many people read the instructions? How many people just went and plugged it in and tried to figure it out? I mean, nobody, it's the same thing. If you do it right, it'll work perfectly for you. And electric fence, I mean, you look at those other options, this is the easiest and most cost-effective way to keep them out.
VGA?
What's
This
the
one here is very
tension
movable.
requirements on that? How tight do you have to pull it, or how tight can you pull
Would you be
it?
able
Pull
to
it pretty
get the whole
snug.
time?
I mean, you can actually, I don't have these posts in deep, real deep,
That'll actually
but
do true.
the ground is really wet
Really?
right now, so it's easy to go in.
How many
But,
minutes of it?
you know, if you bought a
If you do
taller
true
post, if you're
HDD,
worried about the snow, you buy a taller post,
Uh-huh.
you can move your wires up as the year comes in, as the snow builds up.
I mean, do you have to use like a fence puller on that, or
Oh,
just
no,
hand
I
pull?
just pulled it by hand.
Oh, okay.
Kathy tied the knots, I held the fence.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is, if it wasn't 95 degrees, it would have took us less than an hour. I mean, I'm a little out of shape, so it took a little longer. But bottom line is it's very easy to put up. I mean, you and your kids could go out there. I mean, you wouldn't have no problem putting it up yourself. What else you guys got?
I would just say one thing about the baiting. It doesn't have to be just in one side. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have actually 2 pieces of bacon or even 3 along there. But just wherever the bear is going to come in, that's where you
I think she.
How often do you have to replace the bait? Just when it's gone, or when it's fried
Yeah.
in the sun?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I would imagine it
you know,
gets
I didn't
rancid
get
after
the,
so
I didn't
long.
get the details about that, but you could.
I suppose if it's rancid, it's kind of.
If the birds eat your
Yeah.
bacon, use molasses and peanut butter and a gum wrapper, and that'll last longer.
Yeah, they did recommend like your peanut butter if you put it in like a foil pack.
Yeah,
And
aluminum
kind of
foil.
put it along there and kind of poke it a little bit because they're going to smell it. They have an outstanding sense of smell. They can smell the brood, they can smell the honey, and so they're going to smell the whole
And
mash.
birds will eat the bacon. Like chances are there ain't going to be a bear coming in, but somebody will come in and eat the bacon.
Yeah.
But the bottom line with the baiting is a gum wrapper and some peanut butter and molasses will last a lot longer. It's not very expensive, and they'll get a good taste of it. Like she said, they'll come for it.
What do you do then? Just wrap that bowl around the aluminum wire? Just wrap it around the aluminum
Yeah,
wire?
you can do that.
Yeah, the way it was described to me, if you take the foil,
Yes.
make like a little pocket, put
Yes.
the peanut butter in there, and then just wrap it around,
And then squeeze it.
and then squeeze it, and then they're going to smell it, but they're kind of they're very detailed oriented because when they trap bears for research or whatever, sometimes to get it just right, so they'll say, oh, you put a few more holes in the wrapper so that it can just get that much more scent out there. So
Anything else? You guys got any other questions?
Does that grounding rod need to be inside the fence?
Not necessarily, but I mean, you don't want to trip over it. I mean, it's
And a mower on it, too.
well. What I would definitely do is, you think this would be common sense, is you want to make sure you put the charger inside far enough that you can't kick it over somehow. I mean, the last thing you need them doing is kicking into your solar panel. So you want to put that far enough in. Like I said, the 4-foot fence. You don't want them to be able to reach over and grab that hive.
You want it up in the air, don't you? You don't want it.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, the bugs will probably get in this a little more easily with it on the ground. This right here, I didn't tell you this, Kathy, but on the under, is it on still?
I don't know.
You should check.
It's not.
This sits on a T-post.
Okay.
So you could, if you use T-post fencing in the corner, you could set it right like that. Basically, well, I'm looking at the south over here. You could set it on your fence.
Now the bear definitely
It
can
actually fits the T-post better, but there's nothing wrong with that right there, except for, obviously, you probably have the T-post in here, and if you're gonna put it on a T-post, have it high enough that he can't knock it over. Last thing you want him to do is knock over your $175. Anything else? And what I was gonna tell you, Kathy, is you're gonna leave that off until Friday.
Okay.
Face it to the south, leave it off for 2 days, and then turn it on. If you guys buy a solar charger, go to the big box stores. The one thing that you go to the fencing aisle, you buy your charger. It'll say ready to go out of the box. I'm going to tell you that no solar is ready to go right out of the box. You want to charge it up 2 to 3 days, face it to the south before you hook it to your fence. That way it gives the time for the battery to charge up good, and that way it's going to maintain your power more consistently.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Just a comment. We've we had chickens that we raised for meat, the ones that you moved the fence. We did have one of those web fencings
Yes.
that you talked about. They're great, they're convenient, they work really well. But if you let the grass grow through them, they're almost impossible to get them off the ground.
Well,
So
no
they don't work that way. But we had them out in the field, and something happened, and we removed the chickens and took them somewhere else, and went back like several weeks later to get the fence, and the grass had grown through it. It was impossible to get the stuff up. So do not let the grass grow through your fence.
What if you put like a plastic mulch?
Well, like a garden
Underneath,
thing, you can
yeah.
do that.
You could do something, but
Most guys that are using netting are using it for sheep and other temporary situation where you're going to move it from here today. You're not going to move that garden. You're not going to move that stuff around. That's expensive. Pain in the butt. I got DVDs over there on a product we got called a Smart Fence, 328 feet. I touched on it over there, but it's a slick product. Our selling point is, you know, we can send somebody out there with it over their shoulder, walk right out there, when the other guy's got to carry all his posts and his reels and that. It's a very convenient product. You guys are welcome to take the information and take a look at it. It's 328 feet, so it's essentially 2 rolls of netting put together. It's priced accordingly. It's $259 retail, where netting's about $130, but it's double the size. It's a lot easier to use. It's 4 strands, so it's off the ground. You don't have to worry about the grass growing up and you know, taken away from your voltage.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you.
and I did want to thank
all
you
of
guys
for
for coming.
out. I really appreciate it. It's important to me personally, and
I have a ball.
like I said, I've got
I
some
have 13 by 13
bear stuff
Yeah.
for kids, you know, and then the stuff that Greg put out. So.
off the ground, 10 inches, 12
I went 6.